Hi guys, and welcome back to episode 5 of Building Forever. I'm Kristen Simmons.
And I'm Ryan Simmons, and we are the owners of Forever Young in Frankfurt.
Today's episode is going to be about the middle part or the hard part.
Yes, that's where we are.
What does the middle part mean to you?
It's really just, when you first start out, you have all the excitement leading up to doing the build out and doing all the planning and all that sort of stuff that's exciting. Then when you're in the middle, you're sort of really in it. You're in the deep of it. You're in the deep end. That's where all the struggles happen. That's where it's not the honeymoon phase anymore. So you really deal with the day-to-days and all the struggles that most people have in a business. So that's sort of where we are right now.
So the part before you become successful.
Yes.
Right? And I feel like it's the part where you you don't have that validation. It's just the messy middle.
Yeah.
And it's where I have personally questioned our life choices and been like, was this a mistake?
Yeah, no, me too.
But of course it's not, right?
No, but I think it's the middle part is where people, a lot of businesses don't make the first year. And because they hit this point and they're just like, there's a lot of negativity. It's not all roses. And, it's a lot of struggles that you didn't think were going to be there. You're learning sort of on the go and there's things that you didn't plan for. And so you're really just day to day trying to figure out how to get past the next hurdle and how to improve things and what not to do. So we're learning. I think in hindsight, knowing that we know what this feels like now. So if we do, when we do another location, we've been through all these hard things and understand, how to start and what not to do. And so it's going to be much easier. So I think this is sort of a one-time thing for us, as being in this middle where we don't know necessarily the outcome. We can see the light, but we're still just not there yet. So
This is the part where most people quit.
yeah. And I think in life, it's not just business. It's in whatever you do, right? It's anything that is hard, anything that's worth doing, you go through this phase. So that's sort of what we are at this point, and we're working through it.
But you have this in fitness, you have this in podcasting, a great example. This is our 5th episode, but we've at least recorded 10 because there's a huge learning curve when you start anything new, right?
Yeah. If it's not technology, it's timing. It's getting interrupted by, we were going to start, and we had a family FaceTime, so we had to delay by an hour, and so now it's almost 8 o'clock, and our evening is dwindling away, and now we're doing this. So our day, being in this business, it's nonstop, really. I mean, our whole life revolves around the business, and we try to get a little early in the office because we come home and we do this. We do podcasts, we do leads. So this is all sort of leading up to having these conversations about the things that happen in this middle part and how to get past it and how to work through them. And so it's a learning curve for sure.
We try to do this once a week, and so we tried this on our scheduled day, which was Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good day to do it. First of all, I'm a planner. And I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so I really like to over prepare. And so we were having a bit of a conflict because it wasn't fun. And this whole thing was meant to be fun, right? And what did you say to me?
So just take a deep breath. We're supposed to have fun here. We're just having a conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just two people talking about their lives, and it shouldn't have to be scripted or feel pressure. It just should feel natural. And I think that's a lot of these podcasts that do well are people who really just talk about their lives in a natural way and not a scripted way. And I think that it's easier for people to listen to that and they can understand it because they can relate to it, I think.
Yeah, so I ended up saying I was going to quit, but we didn't quit. I just said, I just am done for the night. And so then the next day, I was like, you know what? I don't really listen to a ton of podcasts. I have like a few that I do from time to time, but the ones that I listen to, I guess I'll say, are like 5 years in, and so it's perfect audio. It's perfect. It's like a 5-year-old podcast, how it would look and sound. And so when you're starting something new, you're comparing your episode 5 to their episode 500. It's hard when you're a perfectionist, which I don't even know if being a perfectionist is real. It's just trying to control the unknown, I think, is what I'm coming to terms with. Is I'm trying to control all of these aspects because I don't know how it's gonna end up or turn out. So anyways, the next morning while I was training, because that's really the only time I had to listen to podcasts, I was like, you know what, Alex Hormozy is the one that just comes up on my feed all the time and like resonates with me. So I scrolled all the way to Alex Hormozy's first podcast episode. The audio wasn't great. It wasn't perfect. It was his first podcast, which sounded very similar to ours. And so that for me was just like it needed to bring me back down to earth, and I think it's a good lesson for anybody, and then it kind of like reset it for me. So
Yeah. Put things in perspective, right?
yeah, no, exactly. So I guess learning anything new is frustrating, but the more times you fail, the more times you learn.
Yeah, yeah. You fail a lot before you succeed often. So,
Yeah. What keeps you motivated in life? Like what gives you perspective?
I guess, business, certainly, I think that it's, going through it and getting in the deep end and really focusing on what it could be, I think it helps me put things perspective and understanding that most businesses fail, very few succeed, and for one like ours, which is complex business, something that we have to have medical staff, we have to have a huge plethora of portfolio that offers many different treatments and equipment. So it's not simple. There's a lot of moving parts. So I think that what makes it difficult, more difficult than maybe just a lawn care service or something where you're your own employee and you're doing it yourself. But we have how many employees now? 15, 20 between the two businesses. So it's bigger than I thought it was going to be, honestly, in at least short term. And it happened sort of, it exploded pretty quickly. We're at the point now where we had a staff meeting today, and luckily we had most people in the office, and there was 7 people in the office, two on the conference call. We have 15 Pilates, yoga and Pilates teachers. So it's grown to something that's huge. Sometimes looking at what we've done helps put things in perspective, because we've done a lot, and we've worked to build a business in a short amount of time. Really, we're only going in a year, to where we're moving in the right direction, and we have the foundation set, and now it's just building off the foundation. So that helps, I think, in the day-to-day operation, I believe. So what about you?
Yeah, I don't really like to dwell on the past. I don't know if you'd call it dwell, but I feel like anytime I look back, like for example, today, I was just kind of scrolling through the Instagram of Together Yoga and Pilates, and one of the reels that I had made popped up, and it was the studio before we did our renovations or upgrades to it. And then it was just like kind of a looking back type of reel. And I was like you forget so much. I feel like you get so consumed that you forget so much. And we just had a conversation too about, the things that you and I have done on our own that wasn't guided by the franchise that I do believe has made us more successful than we would have been had we not done that. And so I think there's so much that you forget when you're so in it, that sometimes looking back and being like, wow, we've done so much and we've been through so much and we should be really proud of that. But I feel like you and I, we just want to be the best that we can. We're kind of, I don't know, overachievers, I guess, in all aspects of life. Like, not to say that we're not doing it good enough, but like, will it ever be good enough?
Yeah. No, I think we both have that same mindset. It's when they say you reach for the stars and you get the sky. So you're always reaching past your goals, and I think that's how we sort of think. It's our goals are pretty grandiose, and if you get halfway there, you're still accomplished quite a bit. So I think that's how we've really model a business. And it's a good thing that you're good at documenting all this stuff, because I'm obviously not. Like I said, going back and seeing some of those things that we were first walking through, a business that was just drywall and no flooring, to where it's gone now. It's pretty amazing. So we should be proud of all that. I think we don't give ourselves enough credit, I think.
But I like the social media aspect of it too. Just that was really never something I enjoyed doing. And I think people look at me and they're like, oh, she loves doing social media. She can do it. And actually, no, it started when I was a hairdresser. That's really when Instagram was starting to become a thing in like 2013, 2014. And I was the girl that was like, I'm not good at social media. I never posted my work because I was too self-critical of it. I really never posted like a selfie, nothing. And then over time, I came to realize how important it was. It's a skill anybody can learn. Now I'm posting on and managing 5 different accounts, and I've learned to enjoy it. But I mean, if the reason that you're being held back by something is because you're saying you're not good at it, that's not true. Because it's just a skill anybody can learn. And honestly, I think it's just like getting out of your own way and like detaching from the fear of people not liking it and engaging with it. Because same with this podcast, we're getting no listens, no likes, no engagements. And for me, that's validation. That's like, okay, we're doing something right now because we're learning. What do they say? If you build it, they will come.
Mhm.
It's true. I believe that. I 100% believe that. I feel like you're not a perfectionist. I feel like you're like realistic minded.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely realistic. I mean,
I don't have that.
yeah. Well, I always say, what's the worst that can happen? That's the death. I mean, there's not much worse than that. So that's the way I look at life. And but it doesn't mean that failure doesn't sort of weigh on your mind. Especially when we're in this position now. We're sort of in the middle. This is where all the pressure is the financial pressure, and you're going to business and getting sales up and adding people and adding procedures and treatments. So certainly, I think that's where that stress of failure is pretty high. I mean, right now it's probably about as high as you can get. And we're in a situation where failure is not an option. We have a 10-year lease, a 10-year franchise agreement. Failing isn't something we can do. We have our wife invested in this company. That certainly puts a strain, a stress on ourselves, but it also motivates you, right? If it was easy to walk away, and we wouldn't have done it, 3 months ago. But it's not easy to walk away. We have a goal in mind, and we know where we want to be in 5 years. That's part of being in this world is having growth and building another business, somewhere else and expanding the franchise. So we have these goals in place, and it's having that fear of failure sort of helps push you through to get to those opportunities that you're putting in front of you. So, but I know you feel the same way. We're both in the same position, and you take fear, at least you maybe deal with fear better than I do or differently than I do. So
I feel like I have 2 different ways of taking it. I feel like when I'm fearful, I'm like either like in a victim state, which doesn't last very long, like how I was the other night when I'm like frustrated and like kind of feeling defeated almost. I feel like I'm either defeated or I'm motivated by it. Once I recognize that I'm defeated and I'm letting it win, that's when I get motivated. And then when I get motivated, I will stop at nothing. I think that's the one thing that in the end is going to make us be successful is that we're not afraid to work. We will outwork anybody any day, anytime. We're willing to put in the work, and I think that will get you much further than most things.
yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's something that we both have in common. And I saw it in you when you're doing 10 people in a day and working from 7 in the morning till 11 at night doing hair. And hard work is really underestimated for people. I really focused on that growing up and wasn't necessarily great at anything, but I was always the hardest worker in the room. That it really helped me propel me in my career, and that carries over to what we do now. Like you say, we're both not afraid to work hard, not afraid to get our hands dirty. We get up the crack of dawn, get our workouts in, get to the center, we get home, and we start it up all over again. And we, we keep working. And so we're, by 10 o'clock, we put in, a long day. We do that every day. And, even Saturday and Sunday we do. So we certainly aren't afraid of doing the hard stuff.
It's a grind.
Yes.
But it's fun. It's fun to do it with you.
It's definitely.
It comes in waves, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're exhausted and you just want to throw in the towel and cry. And then sometimes you just have to cry and then it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it is fun. Like I say, it's
fun to do it with you.
Yeah, no, it's certainly to have the support and be able to, we love what we do. I can say that is the first time in my life that I've actually had a job that I love to do, and I'm excited about getting up in the morning, and the first thing I do is check my emails and any more leads and I can follow up on, and they're getting sales, or that excites me. So that's I think that helps us on the day to day just being in the office and being there together, it's great too. I mean, having a job where I worked from home most of my career, but I had to travel, and so leaving and being off 2 or 3 days, I mean, that's gone for me. That'll never happen again. And when I thought I might go in the office, with my wife, it's nice when because we either we're there together, we come home together, so it's a nice mix. So doing those extra hours and working harder and spending nights doing emails and texts and making sure the next day set up to run well is, for me, it's not really a chore. It's just something that even though it's work, it's something that doesn't really feel like work. It's just our life now. So and then you throw the bodybuilding on top of that into that, and it's both part of our lives as well. So we have all the interests in our personal lives and also our business lives that are cohesive, and it certainly helps. But
I'm looking forward to seeing how things go during this prep because I feel like when we do take the time to pour into our personal goals and our health, I feel like typically in previous preps, things in my life got really good, like in all aspects. So I think sometimes when you do take extra time on yourself, it feels selfish, but usually the return in every other aspect is something amazing. So
yeah, no, it's going to be exciting. This will be the first year that we both doing two shows and running a business. So we have to really balance our time, but there's enough hours in the day. We'll get it done.
but it's so interesting too. Something I was thinking about is when I started competing, it was in 2020. So I kind of had all the time in the world. And then when I would work, I was health coaching from home, which I could do on my own time. I could make my own hours. And then I was also doing hair on the weekends, which I set my own hours. So pretty much my life revolved around bodybuilding. And something I always envied about you was that you always had your job and you fit bodybuilding in and it was a priority. But like that's how you started doing it. Whereas for me, it was like complete opposite. So like my world revolved around bodybuilding. So then last year when I took the year off, like in my head I was like, it's never going to be the same. I'm never going to give my time and attention to the sport. So I didn't think I would be able to find a way to do it. And this time it almost seems like, I mean, it's early in prep, but I'm just saying, like, I have like excitement. Like, like I'm excited to go and train tomorrow. I'm excited to do my cardio because now it really feels like a privilege or it feels like something I want to prioritize, even though everything else in our life is important.
Having the freedom of not having that second thing in your life that takes away from something, it's different when you have a job. You have to make that time. You have to change your mindset of how you build you fit that into your schedule and making sure that it is a priority, and it's a different mindset when you have a job that you're working 12 hours a day, and you got to fit those 2 or 3 hours a day in bodybuilding into your schedule, and you look forward to it too. I think it's like the time of day where you can sort of like, hey, it's my time, from 5:30 till 8. That's my time. And yeah, no, I understand.
It feels different, like waking up and being like, okay, I gotta do my cardio because this is the only time I get to
Yeah,
do it. Whereas before it was like, oh, I have to go do Bulgarian split squats. Like, I can push it back, but it's like, no, you have this time
yeah,
to do this, so you're gonna make the most of it. And so I don't know. It's different.
yeah,
It's exciting.
yeah. No, it's
Feels like a challenge too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and also this is obviously the business is established now, so we'll both be in a good mindset too. Where it's like last year, it would have been hectic if you would have done them last year too, when I was trying to do it, because it was already stress was through the roof, and to have both of us doing it, not only doing can you imagine doing 4 shows, 4 shows between the two of us doing it last year? I mean, that would have been
It wasn't
chaos. So
even a question
yeah,
for me. I like there's no way I could have done it last year. I was just like not in a place for it. But this year I am.
yeah.
I'm excited about it. What do you want to remember about this middle part, this phase that we're in right now?
I think for me, the most important is to sort of remember the mistakes we've made, I think is important just to help us, in the next, phase of this growth, and just keeping in mind, what not to do. I think we've sort of had a list, and the list is pretty it's pretty long, honestly. But I think we can keep those things in perspective, and remember those things. It's going to make the next time, much easier. And but I think also it's like remembering that feeling that you have when you're in this position, when you're in sort of the middle ground. And because there's still a lot of excitement, but there's a lot of frustration, and be able to like mentally, you know, fight with those things, and make sure that because there's a lot of days that we get up and it's like, if it's not somebody calling in sick, it's somebody, canceling classes, or a customer calling to cancel their membership. And sometimes it just like builds up, and a lot of times you just want to throw a towel in. So I think just keeping that in mind, where, you just sort of, I'm a big proponent of just like, take a deep breath and take a moment, to sort of, put things in perspective. Is it as really as bad as we think it is? And I think that's the key, because it's like your first reaction is like the world is coming to an end, the sky is falling. But after a half an hour of sitting back and letting things settle, it's usually not as bad as you think it is, and we work through it. And so I think getting to that moment quicker, and don't let the big things, sort of, impact your life greatly, because I think there's nothing that that impactful in business that you can't solve, with some time and with some effort. So I think that's sort of things I want to remember. But what about you?
I mean, probably exactly what you said, because I think, were you talking to me? Because I feel like I don't have a gauge on intensity. You do.
Mm.
I don't. So I feel like that was at me, right?
No, no, not necessarily.
It's okay,
No, no.
because it's true.
No,
I feel
I
like
agree.
everything that comes in, I take, like, I want to respond right now. I want to figure it out right now. And I guess my greatest lesson from you is to not act on impulse, not act on emotion, to like sit back and take a deep breath. And maybe that's like people pleasing tendencies. I don't know. Like when a text comes in, like I want to respond right away. And sometimes I do,
Mm.
but more often than not, like if it's an easy thing to respond to, yeah, of course. But if it's like something that comes in that's, I don't know, like somebody's upset about something, or it's a complaint, like instead of acting in the moment, typically I'll come and bring it to you and filter it through your brain, and then I'll be like, "Oh," or I take it differently once I hear how you say it, because sometimes like when you are so consumed on it, and you kind of feel like it kind of feels like a fight sometimes, like you have your guard up, you kind of feel like you're being attacked, like especially during difficult times when, like for example, during transition, like at the studio, where we've had different instructors, and you're trying to please everybody when changes are going on, and it feels like a personal attack when you're just doing your best to make everyone happy. But I guess another thing that I've learned from you is that that's not my job to make everybody happy. It's to provide a wonderful place for people to come and look and feel their best. And there's a difference between making everybody happy and doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I've tried to show you the way with that. I mean, and that's frankly just come over time, because when I was younger, I certainly had a different mindset. And as you get older, you sort of, realize that you can't make everybody happy, and you're really hurting yourself when you try to, because people are different and people want different things. And so all you can do is, be nice, try to resolve situations the best you can. But if someone's unhappy, it's probably not to do with you. It's probably something else in your life that's making them unhappy. But yeah, we're getting there. I think we both sort of have the same perspective now. And as we move forward, more and more in the business, I think our thought process becomes more similar. And but we also, like you say, we bounce things off each other and have different perspectives, and which obviously gives us different ideas of how to solve problems. So
For fitness, what keeps you motivated and inspired?
for me, it's just about, I've worked out for so many years, and it's really become second nature. It's a part of my DNA at this point. I just really enjoy working out. I've always loved having sort of goals, whether it be lift more, or when I was younger, I was playing different sports. I always had sort of that passion for competition, and sort of your bodybuilding is sort of a strange sport because there isn't really competition. There is, but you're sort of like a one man show, and it's sort of you're trying to be the best version of yourself, and the sport itself, the judging, it's difficult because you can be the best you can be and still not be good enough. But it's not about, for me, it's not about necessarily winning. It's about coming to the stage, looking my best, and then I'm happy with that. So I'm disappointed if I don't do well, but I also know that I'm working as hard as I can. So to answer your question, just really more internalized. I just enjoy having the challenge, feeling my best, looking at my best is something that obviously a mantra that we've taken on with Forever Young, but it really is a part of my life, and I want to grow old gracefully, as best I can, and I want to be my 70s and 80s and still be strong and be active in fitness and to the day I die. So I hope that's really my goal is just to stay fit, and that's really my motivation now is more so later in life and just keeping on top of it because it's much harder to start this in your life when you're older than if you just maintain it at a young age. So if you're 30 years old and you're overweight or you can't walk up a set of stairs without being out of breath, then you should take a look at your life and should make some changes. I mean, because it only gets harder as you get older. It's never going to get easier. So what motivates you?
A couple different things, but I mean, you're one of my greatest sources of inspiration, to be totally honest with you. I got into bodybuilding because of you, but I feel like the most motivating part was that you started it when you were 40. I started bodybuilding when I was 24, and you started it when you were 40 years old. That to me alone was just always inspiring, even with 20 years between us. Like, I always feel like I kind of have to keep up with you. And that's a good thing because like when you have a partner that you're dragging, which I hope you don't feel like you're dragging me. Maybe you do, but it's different when you have that dynamic. It took some time for me to get like on board with the bodybuilding thing, but once you fall in love with becoming the best version of yourself, it's hard to explain that addiction and that want and that need to be better and better and better and the best that you possibly can. And then just doing that with you inspires me too. And then it's like, well, how far can we take this? Like, how good can I get? And then also just growing as a person, because I feel like every prep that you go through, you kind of go go to the dark corners of your internal world, and it's a lot of inner work, honestly, and that's addicting too. To be the best version of yourself externally, but also internally, because they go hand in hand. So if you knew that you were 20 failures away from succeeding, how fast would you want to fail?
Fast.
As fast as possible.
Yeah. Hopefully this is we already had 20 and this is this is the success. So we've been looking at business for a while, and there's a lot of things we went pretty deep into, and I had said that they were sort of failures. We just, whether it be, maybe we'll talk about the ranch one of these days that we were looking to buy, the dog kennels, or there was a lawn care company we were looking at. So I mean, we've had these ideas before, long before this. So we went for a couple of years, and so I think those were considered sort of failed ideas, and then we came upon this one. So I hope that we're there, but just I think looking at success and being sort of in that middle ground we talked about, the middle place. It's we're really focusing on success is important. I think there's at this stage of the game, and we're doing all the things necessary to do that and together. What are your thoughts on the middle and where we are?
I feel like we're on the other side of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are. We've made it past the hurdles, the big hurdles, and we've had some big jumps in success. And I think that now we've sort of plateaued, and I think they're going to be more incremental and not as big. So it's going to be more of a gradual. So it's like it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So I think that's where we're at the point in our businesses. We're in it for a long haul now. So it's just a matter of growing, consistent growth, and that'll get us to the point we need to be.
Definitely. But I feel like once you can recognize and acknowledge that you're in the middle part, that you're in the hard part, is when you can kind of like reframe in your mind to make it motivation, which is where I personally feel like I'm at. Like last week when we talked about doing this podcast episode, I was in the middle part. I was like down deep where I was like, what did we do? Was this a mistake? This is hard. I want to quit. I want my old life back. And then, like, as soon as I said that, I was like, that's ridiculous. No, I don't. I love our life. I love what we're doing. I believe in what we're doing. I believe we're going to succeed because we have to and we don't have a choice. And so I feel like once you get so far deep in the middle part, you just kind of have to start crawling out. And that's kind of where I feel like we're at.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you're in the middle part, just know you're not alone. We've been there. Anybody that is successful has been in the middle part.
Yeah.
So that's our validation right now, is knowing that we're on the right track. Nothing worth having comes easy.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, follow, comment, all the above. Follow us on Instagram. Let us know what you guys want to hear, who you want us to have on the podcast eventually. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week. I'm Kristen Simmons.
I'm Ryan Simmons.
And we're the owners of Forever Young in Frankfort.